So we're going to get started. This is the Pembroke Planning Board meeting of Monday, February 9th, 2026. Please note that this meeting is being made available to the public through an audio recording, which will be used to ensure an accurate record of proceedings produced in the minutes of the meeting. All comments made in open session will be recorded. PAC TV is providing this service live on Comcast, Xfinity, Government Access Channel 9. Those without cable, visit YouTube for live streaming. Board member Jim Noon is participating via remote participation in accordance with the requirements of 940 CMR 29.10 via speakerphone due to geographic distance. All votes during this meeting will be made via roll call. All right, first on our agenda, we have site plan number 8-25, a retail petroleum facility at 208 Church Street on the application of Global Companies LLC, 800 South Street, Suite 500, Waltham, Mass., requesting site plan approval under the zoning bylaws of the Town of Pembroke, Section 5.7. This is site plan approval. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing facility and replace it with the new fueling facilities and a Honey Farms Market convenience store. The property is in Business District B and Adult Use Overlay. The property is located at 208 Church Street, Pembroke, Mass., shown as Pembroke Assessor's Parcel G15-4, and is approximately 59,880 square feet in size. All right, who's presenting? Let us know your name.
Hello, I'm Matt Snell from Nutter, McLennan and Fish. With me tonight is Robert Schuler, Director of Development from Global, Jason Adams, the traffic engineer, and Luke Stefano, who will be presenting most of the site plan.
Excellent.
We were here in December, so I won't spend a lot of time rehashing things. Everybody probably wants to get home anyway. It's a nice cold night. You said it at the outset, this is an existing gas station, mobile station at 208 Church Street. It's going to be raised and rebuilt as a Honey Farms, which is a concept that Global does. We went through it last time. It's a little bit, I'll call it higher end station, made to order sandwiches, better for you snacks and those kind of things. We filed with the planning board for site plan review. We'll also, in 2 weeks before the zoning board of appeals, for a modification of a prior special permit, a finding for some changes to pre-existing nonconformities, a special permit for the restaurant use, and some variances related to the front yard and rear yard setbacks. So with that, unless you have any questions for me, I'll turn it over to Luke and we'll get this going.
No, that's good. Although we'll hear from Deb at some point, but the application's pretty complete.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Luke DiStefano with Bowler. I'll quickly run through the project again. You guys already stole a lot of my thunder, and I think most of you, if not all of you, heard the presentation back in December. But effectively, this is a redevelopment of the existing property at 208 Church here in the town of Pembroke. It is a retail petroleum facility, which fancy way of saying it's a gasoline station with a C-store. Been operating like that for some time now, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with the site, but for those who may not be, around a roughly 1,700 square foot existing C-store in the back center of the property. This is Church Street here to the south, and Old Oak Street borders the site to the east. The building is served right now by 6 multi-product gasoline dispensers, or 6 islands, which allows effectively, about 12 fueling positions. You don't have great spacing here, so it's tough to get that many under the existing condition. And the dispensers are situated beneath an overhead canopy, pretty standard, and served by some underground storage tanks located in the southeast corner of the property. The site under existing conditions is serviced by 2 curb cuts along Church Street and then a 3rd along Old Oak Street. Those curb cuts are existing to remain, and we are not proposing any changes to that. This is the proposed plan. And again, if you haven't had a chance to review it, what Global is looking to do is construct a new roughly 3,800 or 3,700 square foot store in the northeast corner of the site. A little bigger, a little more modern, allows it to operate more efficiently. That will be serviced by 28 parking spots, the majority of which are located in the front here, including 2 van accessible handicap spaces, and then another series of spaces along the westerly edge of the property. Under the proposed condition, Global is looking to install 8 multi-product dispensers, which will allow for the fueling of 16 vehicles at any one time. And you can see they're properly spaced so that not only can you get cars into and at the dispensers, but they can maneuver around cars that may be fueling or stopped. So it promotes better circulation into and around the property. Those, similar to the existing conditions, will be underneath an overhead canopy, and the underground storage tanks that are there are going to continue to service the new multi-product dispensers. As I mentioned, the site will still be accessed via the 3 existing curb cuts, no change there. We are increasing impervious cover, but in order to offset that, we have a very robust stormwater management system that will meet all of the state and local requirements that it's required to meet. We do have a comment letter from Merrill. We've provided a draft comment back, or a response to comments back. Nothing in that letter, especially as it relates to stormwater management, are egregious. We feel we can meet all of the requirements, and we can address all of the comments raised in that letter. And we're certainly willing to provide, and will be providing, revised plans in a more formal comment response letter that shows exactly how we plan to address each of those comments. But at the end of the day, we know, based on some initial calculations, that we can not only reduce the peak runoff rates from the site for all design storms, but the volumes as well. And we're doing that by installing a fairly large underground stormwater management system between the proposed building and the canopy. And that will promote groundwater recharge and pre-treatment. So it's going to be an upgrade over what you have under the existing conditions from a stormwater management standpoint. Other improvements to the site under the proposed condition would be new utilities. All utilities to the site will be replaced, electric, gas, water, and then the septic system. The site is serviced by septic, currently located in this portion of the site here. That will continue to be the case, only the system will be moved a little bit more into the westerly edge, where we have a fairly significant landscape buffer. And the final 2 improvements to the site under the proposed conditions, pretty robust landscape plan. As I mentioned, we are increasing impervious cover when you compare it to the existing condition. But to offset that, we do have, as I mentioned, an extensive landscape design, evergreen trees, shade trees, shrubs, ground level plantings, designed to enhance what the site is and what it will be over, again, what you have today. The site looks nice today, but with the new landscaping, we feel, and the new building and the upgrades, it's really going to complement that corner. And then lighting. We have provided a lighting plan, but you'll see that all of the lights are the down style lights designed to put light where we need it and where we want it, which is within the fueling area, the driveways, parking areas, but it will result in no light trespass onto abutting properties or any of the abutting rights of way. And with that, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions the board, or although we make up the audience may have.
How close is the closest residential abutter that may be on Old Oak Street? Isn't it down a ways, right?
Yeah, this is a commercial property here, and I believe, I don't have that dimension, but I don't
Gotcha.
think it's super close.
Self-storage is right next door.
The self-storage, and then the church is next door to that. So I don't think they're,
Across
Across
the
the
street.
street, which is even farther back on
Yeah.
the opposite side.
Up over here.
gotcha. Well, Debs, you had some questions about lighting?
I did, just from the fact that the lighting, which I understand under the canopy is quite bright from the regulations, so I was just looking at it, thinking and sort of deferring to the board as to whether or not you want them to ask for a waiver, because it doesn't meet your site plan criteria. It is a unique situation, so I don't believe anybody's opposed to it, just asking the question.
Well, I mean, it's good. I mean, you've got the ramp as your neighbor, the on-ramp into Route 3 is your neighbor, and then you've got a self-storage, which doesn't have any people in it. You do have another gas station across the street, but again, I don't know if we need to leave it to the board as to whether you think that's necessary. I'm of the opinion that it probably isn't.
I don't think it would be. I mean, it already has that, not to call it light pollution, but it has that same amount of light coming off of it, so doesn't the gas station next door. They're kind of polluting the area.
Well, I wouldn't say polluting.
Well, technically, like illuminating the area properly.
Yeah, and one of the things I can't say, and I've been designing, makes me feel old, gas station in some capacity or another for about 30 years now. You know, what's nice about these new facilities and the lighting that they use is it doesn't have that super glow like you used to see. It doesn't look like an old used car lot. The light, as I mentioned, is where you want it. It's going to be well lit under the canopy, and you're right, we don't, I think it was 8-foot candles maximum.
Yeah.
We're certainly going to exceed that. I noted in our draft comment response that we would certainly seek a waiver if necessary. But this is a pretty prototypical configuration in terms of lighting for a retail petroleum facility. Again, where we're going to see the most light is under the canopy, but that's where we want it. You got a lot of activity going on there, you know, people fueling cars, people maneuvering around cars, so that needs to be well lit. But as I mentioned, once you get to the property lines or once you get to any of the rights of way, it's 0-foot candles at all property lines. So lights contained 100% on the site.
I'm just going to ask a couple questions because I'm an engineer and this is part of my nature. Why couldn't you have motion sensor lights at the tanks and light it at a lesser lumens level at night?
I know, and I think Lowell does have, they can dim the lights, but generally, you know, again, when it's open, you want to keep it well lit. It needs to be inviting. We have heard in other instances that women generally will not pull into a site if it looks dark. So we've
Gotcha.
talked at other locations about dimming lights and then having them come on. But from a business perspective, it doesn't make a lot of
Okay,
sense.
well, I'm glad to get the answer.
Yeah, and lights going on and off would be more annoying than them staying
Right,
on.
and very distracting.
Okay. All right, my other question would be spillage of gas. Say if someone spills gas, you've got 16 pumps. How do you handle gas spillage, oolage at the pump?
Now you're asking me to nerd out on gas.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I can give you the 45-minute version,
No,
or I
I'll
can
give
give
you
you
the
the
2-minute.
30-second
Yeah.
version.
30-second
15 seconds.
This site will meet and exceed every federal, state, and local requirement as it relates to
Oolage,
spill, overfill. The monitoring systems that they use here are 24-hour, round-the-clock monitoring. They monitor the volume of the petroleum in the tanks. They monitor the pressure in the lines. When trucks are fueling, there's overfill protection devices on the tanks. There's alarms so that once the tank's at 90%, alarms go off so that, you know, if the operator of the fuel delivery truck isn't paying exact attention, the lights and the sounds go off and tell them, hey, you know, you got to stop putting product in the tanks. We have PLBs, which are the grooves when you pull up to a self-serve gas station and you see the grooves around the concrete, designed to contain small spills so that they can be taken care of. There's fire suppression. We've all seen movies where a car pulls in, hits a dispenser, and gas geysers out.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore. There's shear valves at the bottom of the dispenser, shear valves at the top of the island, so if a dispenser gets knocked over, it seals at the dispenser and it seals at the island.
Gotcha.
Same with the hose. If you've ever seen somebody drive away with a hose, Now, the hose has a valve on the end, as does the dispenser, so it'll shut off, so they drive away, they win a hose, but you don't have any release of product.
Gotcha.
So there are countless
No,
safeguards.
I just wanted
that-
to hear it.
Yeah.
And for the public, I want to have it exposed, because you're adding pumps, and,
Yeah.
you know, someone might consider that to be a worse condition, so I just wanted to hear it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one question that I was hoping to get the answer from, and you may have heard it already. Again, Deb Keller with Merrill. The tie-in that you're doing on Old Oak for the drainage, which is overflow from the subsurface chamber system that they have on site, which is robust, I would agree, it is a robust system. But has that been coordinated with DPW to make that tie-in?
We've had initial discussions. It has to be finalized. We obviously know there could be integrity issues with the connection, so we'll work through that with the DPW.
So that's just one thought to think about as we move forward.
Gotcha. And you're also going to be working with the fire department on this as you go through the building
Correct.
project, so that's another piece. So, generally, just go over the circulation on the site. I think. that
Traffic circulation?
Traffic circulation
Yeah, I was gonna
on,
ask that question.
on the site, just so people get a good feel for it. Because usually that's what most people experience when they go into a gas station.
Yeah, so I think the easiest thing is to quickly compare, you know, what you have under the existing condition to the proposed. So under the existing condition, as I said, you got two driveways, basically one here and here off of Church Street, another here off of Old Oak. You can come in, the dispensers are perpendicular to the direction of travel, which is generally what you want, well, perpendicular direction of travel along the main right-of-way. So when you pull in, you're parallel with the pump, so it's easy to get in, get to a pump that you want. And generally what happens is one of two things. Once people are on the site, they're either gonna simply get gas and leave. They may get gas and then walk into the store, or they may get gas and then, you know, the rarer instances actually then drive from here to the dispensers, or to the parking, and then go in. The way this is facilitated now, as I said, is it's set back far enough from the street that as you're entering from any of the curb cuts, you have an opportunity to see a dispenser that you might want to use that's open. You have the ability to easily navigate around, get into one of the fueling positions. And then more importantly, as I said, because of how these are now spaced out wider, if you had a car here and a car here and you're here, under the old condition, you might have to back up or you have to wait. If you wanted to go now, you can just pull in and there's ample space to go in between and around. Again, we've set the parking in the building back, which is again allowing for additional maneuverability space on the property, so that if you do decide, you know, the pumps are full, or you're just looking to use the parking, or as I said, you're here and then you want to go to the parking, you've got that ability in here to see all the parking spaces, make safe maneuvers into the property. If you're backing out of spaces, there's enough room for a car that's fueling to be sticking out. Well, you know, cars are a lot bigger these days, but you still have room for a car to back out without interfering with a car that may be at the dispensers, and still allow for a car that may be sitting here for two-way traffic in front of the store and then along the street edge as well. So you can get into the site from 3 different locations, but then you have, you know, basically the ability to navigate around the site as needed based on the site conditions. It's not a one-way only circulation. That generally tends to be more confusing. So what we try to do is design these in a way that allows for the most options in terms of, hey, I know what I need to do. I can safely see what I need to see, where I need to go, and then more importantly, I can get there without a lot of unnecessary maneuvers on the property, like backing up, driving around things. You can get to where you need to be quickly and efficiently.
Okay, so while we're on the subject of traffic, you have done a traffic study, and I'm assuming that you're not adding any additional traffic here, that you're taking advantage of existing traffic patterns. Maybe you could give us a very high-level discussion of what you found in the traffic study. I know people are always very interested in that.
Sure. For the record, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. We did complete a traffic impact study, which was submitted as part of the proposal here. We counted traffic volumes in the area at the existing driveways as well as the signalized intersection back in October of last year, and we projected those volumes forward. We did do a trip generation assessment. Essentially, the data around trip generation is based on the size. So we are showing that additional vehicles will come to the site. I mean, it's going to be a much nicer store. We would expect there's going to be additional trips at the site. This location is fairly unique in that there are already the 3 existing gas stations. So, based on your direction of travel, really these are convenience land uses. During the peak periods, most of the vehicles exiting the site are taking a right turn out of the site to head towards Route 3 or points west. You would just go to a different gas station in most cases, especially during those peak periods versus across the course of a day at 10 a.m. or on a Saturday. It's nice to have the flexibility, and this site is certainly opened up by the way that Luke and his team have designed it. So when we project forward and we look at the additional trips, most of those are already on the roadway. We're showing that all the driveways would be projected to operate at acceptable levels of service, essentially the same as it is today, and that there's no noticeable change to the operations of the traffic signal. So even if there are additional vehicles, they're all served well by the capacity on the roadways.
So you don't anticipate any additional queuing that on westbound?
Minimal additional queuing. I mean, of course, if there's a couple of additional cars, I can't argue that it's going to be less queuing.
Sure.
But most of the cars are already on the roadway,
Right.
so they're not really influencing it. They might have a slight change in their pattern. They take a right turn into the site because they have a made-to-order sandwich instead of a different choice that is
Right.
not here today. No significant change, and I don't think you'd really notice the difference between if you're there on a Wednesday or a Thursday. It's a little bit different, but it's essentially the same.
What I will say, I've noticed in California, just to add that I've seen different stuff, is they do stuff to direct traffic coming into the lot. So they would say, with a big arrow, go this way to get to pumps, to keep people from queuing up on the street to enter in. And, because people will drive in and they'll start looking, okay, which pump can I go to? That hesitation puts another car in the middle of the road stopping.
So that's a good place to talk about signage on the site.
So the flow of traffic is kind of a nice thing to try to manage. In this particular case, where we've got 2 lanes of traffic blowing by at a light,
Yeah, there will be directional signage, there will be pavement markings, so this site will have your standard directional signage to help, folks as they get into the site, they kind of understand where they're going. We show arrows on the ground, there will be other directional signage, but pretty typical to any, retail petroleum facility here in the Northeast.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up because I'm asking that if you guys, in the event of opening, find that there are some traffic flow issues, that
Yes.
you address them before we have to with the police department?
Yeah, but it behooves Global, they want it to operate
Yes, that's
better,
all,
as much as anybody.
because it's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
That's all. I just, there's a lot of cars going through there, and rush hour, there's a lot of cars coming through, so.
Yeah. There is a lot more room on the site, the way this is laid out. So anything that you might have a perception of the existing site, it's being improved by the way that this site is now laid out. There's just a lot more room for that vehicle to get all the way onto the site and not be making a decision
Yeah,
in the middle of the road, like, as you're talking, yeah.
okay. All right. I said my piece.
Good. Okay, we're gonna go to Deb next, all right? But any other questions from the board for these guys while we have them?
I was just happy to see the addition of the decor on the side, on the Oak Street.
Yeah.
Old Oak Street side that you added to the side of the building.
Yeah, the elevation,
Our
yeah.
meeting back in December.
looks nice too.
That was great, thank you
So
for
I just
that.
wanted to acknowledge that it looks great.
Yep.
Much appreciated.
Much nicer than a blank wall. Yes, please.
And to kind of tease in with what we just talked about, circulation patterns, but I believe if the entrance on Old Oak Street, if that moved northerly down Old Oak Street, it would probably lead to a better circulation pattern. And then of the 2 entrances, on 139 there, if the westernmost move further westerly, and kind of lined up with the space in between the parking spaces and the actual pumps. So in both cases, the actual entranceway is lined up with that space. I think you would have the better circulation pattern.
All right,
So,
what-
you know, it's the same number of exits and stuff like that, but just move them away, basically move them away from the corner. It's always better for traffic storage and circulation to do that for both the roadway and the station itself.
okay. So what about that? So on the,
Which one is talking about?
yeah, right, so in the front, you take the westernmost on the left and scooch it up, but you'd want to do both, right? Wouldn't you, instead of just one?
I would need you to paraphrase that as much as I was trying. I couldn't hear most of what was being
Okay,
asked.
so what he's asking is, let's go with Old Oak Street. What he's asking is if you move that entrance on Old Oak Street further north, okay? Yeah, exactly. Will it provide a bit of a better circulation pattern because you're taking it further away from the corner? At the same time, if you took the westernmost entrance, which is that one, and put it a couple of feet more west, would that be an improvement on the circulation on the site?
I mean, I think in short, we do feel the way that it's laid out will work efficiently, safely, and all of that. I guess, Luke, I'm not sure if there's opportunity to move those driveways. I know
They
there's
have some constraints
some
on moving them.
exactly.
Right.
I think the grade increases, Old
Yeah,
Oak goes down.
okay,
You already, if you're coming south on Old Oak to take a right, you're already turning up into the gas station a little bit. I think that gets exasperated as you go north.
gotcha.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar. I haven't looked at the grading, but there was a reason why we decided to leave the curb cuts where they were.
Yep,
I think the other piece of it is that as we move westward, we get closer to Route 3. And Mass
Yes.
Walls will have to approve this, and so I think they get a little antsy about being too close to their entrance. to
okay,
the ramp.
so Mass DOT gets to weigh in?
Yes.
Yeah,
Their
they do.
driveways are under their jurisdiction.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, that's just a non-starter. Yeah, I mean, if this is safe and this is gonna work, I think we can live with those entrances where they are. For sure. Okay, great. Deb, you wanna give us a quick update? You've got the letter, you've responded. Right, I see there's some items here, they're typical housekeeping items, there's nothing in this that's,
Nope.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up a couple of things that we didn't talk about today. Most of it we've already addressed. One was a question whether or not, I know this is a gas station, but we do have electric cars. Is there any thought to EV charging stations here? That's just something to think about. And then, since you have a larger retail store, is there going to be, or any thought on how loading or deliveries would be handled to the retail facility? And then I think the rest are just some minor corrections, a few drainage questions that I think they can address. Yeah, just having them check in with both fire and DPW. One on, fire circulation, and then the DPW with the drainage connection into Old Oak Street, making sure that they're okay with that, tying into the municipal drain. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty
Where
clean.
on there is the loading and unloading for the store?
There, I did not see one, so that's
Okay.
sort of where I was, they show dumpsters, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and said they do have 30 feet between your gas stations and the parking, so there is a very wide aisle there. I don't know when the loading schedules are deliveries, but that's just a question maybe me to find out.
Sure, so I can address those pretty quick. As far as EV, there was some talk initially of adding potentially a couple of EV spots here, but Global is working under the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, which would require them to have a minimum of 4. And at a site of this size with what they would consider limited parking, adding 4 designated EV charging stations would take away from what they feel would be better utilized sites for the building. So under the current plan, there are no plans for EV. As for loading, generally these types of uses, we don't usually have a designated loading space. We do know the tanks have to be serviced by large wheelbase vehicles, so in a lot of instances, the same delivery trucks that drop the product will, the space for the fuel delivery will be used for loading, but generally what happens is they will find a time when the site is off-peak, when the majority of parking isn't being used, and my guess is the truck will sit generally here or here. They don't use a lot of large wheelbase vehicles for general delivery. It's a lot of vans and things like that. So in the rare instances, they do have a large wheelbase vehicle. It'll sit off-peak. And then same with the trash. If they find that the trash is there at odd hours and it's not working out because it's interfering with operations, they can control, when the trucks come in, pick up the trash, and they'll have them do it again when the site isn't in peak operating form, so that it limits, conflicts with the truck accessing the trash enclosure and then getting off the property.
And I would assume most of this product's coming in the front door, you're not bringing it around the back, or,
Yeah, and this one, we have an entrance here. A lot of the deliveries come in either right through the front or at the side,
okay.
usually on a hand truck.
Good.
There's no state requirement, right, for EV? If you're doing this improvement, nothing triggers it?
I don't believe so, no.
Well, also, you have to consider the amount of time spent on the site. So I'm sure you've figured out what the average time spent on the site is, and that would require a lot more time on the site
Right.
if you're charging a vehicle, so.
I just know when you do improvements to a residential development, if you do a certain amount of improvement, you're required to provide EV spaces. So that's why I was just asking to make sure that you're following all the rules.
Yeah, I'm not, and as much as I'm an EV fan, dedicated spaces is an interesting challenge.
It is.
I would actually, if I were doing this project myself, would use the air station as a charging station as well, where people can get air for their tires, or in an emergency, charge a vehicle. That would be my thing. that I would do.
I think there were charging stations put in the North River Plaza and in the RK Plaza across the street. Yeah, there's a significant,
right.
yeah, right there. I mean, it's a perfect interchange for EV charging, but they're in a different location than
Yeah,
this.
just emergency.
Not that far away, though.
I think the biggest challenge with EVs, in a pinch, you're running out of power. So,
All right. Anything else, Deb?
No, I would just like to mention that Kirsten Braun from Chapel wasn't able to finish her peer review for the traffic. She promised that she'd have it ready and be able to attend the next hearing if you wanted to finalize through that traffic.
Okay, so I think that it'd be nice if everything was satisfied in the peer review before we close the public hearing and issue a site plan. When's our next meeting?
March 9th.
March 9th, so that's plenty of time to get all that stuff wrapped up.
Yeah, should be.
When do you have your other hearings with ZBA?
We have ZBI on the 23rd, 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay, that's great. So you could get your variances and your special permits all wrapped up, and then this, we'd finalize the site plan at the March meeting, and you'll be good to go.
Board of Health?
We have soil testing starting probably the end of the month. So we're gonna work, we gotta wait to get some soil testing back. Snow obviously didn't help some of that, so. But we do know we have to go to the Board of Health for the septic, for sure.
Yeah. So we're looking at March 9th. Okay, so I need a motion to continue the public hearing until March 9th, 2026.
As presented. What did you just say?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay,
Sorry.
excellent. We have to do this by roll call, folks. So Heather,
Aye.
Alicia,
Aye.
Jim? I'm an aye. Stefan?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Great. Thanks so much for the information.
Thank you.
And thank you for tolerating my question.
That was fair.
I was at the Panera by Lowe's, right down the street, and this lady pulled up in her EV, like backed in right up front, pulled out an extension cord, walked up to the building and just plugged it in.
Yeah.
And they came out and were like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I have like 1 second of charge left." And then they let her keep it, and like, she went inside and ate, and like,
120, she could do that
like
for
30
hours.
minutes and drove on.
Yeah.
So there's her emergency charge.
Yeah. No, yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way.
She's got an extension cord. I feel like she does that quite a bit.
Yeah.
She had no qualms about doing it either. I was like,
Just got her to the
Thank you
next
very much.
Panera.
All right, folks. All right, next up, we've got an informal meeting with Brian Cook regarding easement by necessity. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are they different?
I,
No, they're the same.
Thank you, stay warm.
So we typically don't get involved with easements.
Right. And to be perfectly honest, well, let me start with, my name is Brian Cook, one of the owners of this property in Halifax. The interesting part of this property is it runs along the, off of Plymouth Street, which turns into Oak Street, in that area, across from Stetson Pond, if you're familiar with that area. In the last few years, Crescent Avenue was created by Ed Johnson, and 3 homes were built on Crescent Avenue. Our property was always on the Halifax side of the line. My grandmother bought the entire pond, Crystal Lake, which was Muddy Pond when they bought it, but in true real estate mentality, they changed the name to Crystal Lake in 1924. So when we decided to try to figure out if any of these lots that were considered low value or undevelopable could be united, we ran into a number of problems, most of which were title issues, because as you're probably familiar, back in the turn of the century, last century, when the railroads would come in, they'd checkerboard lots, and I gave you a copy of a plan that shows the Halifax side. Up in the corner, you can see the enormous number of how they did it. All those lots are 2,400 square feet, and they would sell them to people from Revere and Dorchester and tell them they could come to the South Shore and live happily ever after. And people paid $12, $15 for a lot and then never came back. So for the most part, all that land just sort of disappeared, was either taken for taxes. Some people checkerboarded it, again, by buying one lot right in the middle so that nobody could develop because you could never assemble enough to meet zoning. On our side, we're a little more fortunate in that, one, the lots that we're trying to combine were owned by the family. They were laid out on a plan, and these paper streets existed in several different places.
So as I look at this, these lots reside in Halifax.
Yes.
Are part of them in Pembroke?
Well, that's the problem, and that's something I can't resolve.
Okay.
I've
So-
talked to the land court, but it's important that you note it, because at some point in time, Pembroke took land that belonged to my grandmother, and we thought we still owned it. Crescent Street was built, we thought we had access to Crescent Street, and then we discovered that at some point in time, Pembroke had taken it. Ed Johnson acquired it, and gave it to the merchants, I believe their name is. So all of a sudden, we realized we can't get to, we're landlocked.
Okay, so if I look at this particular piece, and I don't know how accurate it is, but this is
Yeah,
what I'm looking at.
it was drawn by Webby Engineering.
Okay, great. So if I'm looking at this, are you saying that the property on the right, on the Pembroke side of this property here on the Pembroke side
Yeah.
is no longer yours?
Right.
Okay.
Well,
I know that.
technically, yes.
Technically, yes. Okay, I get that. So whatever you're proposing,
Yes.
say you're trying to get a buildable lot out of this.
Right.
Or lots.
Just right.
And they would have to conform to Halifax's zoning.
Yes.
Okay. And for that, you would need frontage on a way in Halifax.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So it's really a Halifax issue. What do you need from this board?
Okay, that's a great, thank you. You've actually done a better job than I was doing. All I really need from Pembroke is Morse Street runs from the pond across Crescent to one house. It's a driveway, basically, I believe now. Here, I tried to.
Okay, so you've got, that's pretty much Moore Street's acting as a driveway that crosses Crescent and ends at a house here.
Right.
In Pembroke.
And Morse Street is just a paper street. I don't know if you even carry it
We
on
did,
your
yes.
taxes as a street. I'm not sure if he's listed on Crescent Street or Morse Street.
Okay. But no one would be trying to gain access to this house from Halifax.
I'm sorry, to our property?
Not your property, but the property here in question that is on Moore Street in Pembroke.
I'm sorry, help me again.
So this is the house
right, that one is
for which
fine.
this is a driveway.
You can't get to it. You come off of Crescent.
But no one's going to be coming to that house from Halifax off of Moore Street.
Right.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
All right,
Yep.
so what you're looking for is you're looking for an easement to use Moore Street as a way. It's a paper street, so it is a way, but you're looking to use that as a way to gain frontage for your lot in Halifax.
Exactly.
Okay,
We're not looking for the town of Pembroke to build it. We're not looking for you to maintain it. We're not looking for you to do anything other than not object to it.
and your access to the lot would be through Crescent Street off of Oak and then Plymouth Street to
Exactly.
Moore Street,
Exactly.
which you would use almost like a driveway.
It probably would be just a driveway in that there's only one house that's going to be built on that property
Okay, gotcha.
forevermore.
You really don't need anything from us.
Oh, okay, good. Well, it's really nice to see you.
I don't see, do you? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
You could donate $2 to our
Happy
candy
to.
fund.
Well, I see that you may have your challenges in
Right, with
Halifax.
land.
That I can see you may have challenges there.
Wouldn't they have the way through on Crescent as well?
No,
You'd have
because the
frontage there?
because the property doesn't abut the way according to the lore.
Right.
Okay, the lore says that anything, not the law, but the lore, folklore, says that the Pembroke side of these lots is owned by someone named Merchant.
Yes.
Okay. And how that happened, we don't know, and we frankly don't really care. So it's not frontage, there's no frontage on Crescent Avenue in Pembroke.
Right.
There is only frontage in Halifax on the paper road known as Morse Street.
Gotcha.
And the reason that I've sent you the note saying an easement, there are two different ways you can acquire use. You own to the middle of the road, if it's,
And
if it's there.
again, from our perspective, the road isn't in Pembroke. A portion of the road's in Pembroke.
Right. And we're not doing anything with that. We're not asking you to do anything with that.
Right, and that would provide access to your lot your future lot in Halifax would probably come through Pembroke, but
Right.
that's just an access point.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what winds up happening, just for conversation's sake, is there are two different ways that we acquire use in it. One is an easement by necessity, meaning you're landlocked, it's the only way you can get there. And the other is you have an easement because you own the property that abuts
And
it.
again, that's something that you'd take up with the registry of deeds and
Exactly.
recording the land, and it wouldn't be anything that we would have any say in.
Right.
Okay, so there's no action required on the part of this board for that. Now, one question I have for you is, I know that you met before the Halifax Planning Board. They were interested in hearing from us. I don't know why.
They just wanted to know exactly what you just said.
Okay.
They wanted to, if Halifax, if Pembroke said, no, we don't want any more streets, we don't want anybody cutting into our streets, this is a fully macadam street, paved, we want you to either create one
Well, would
equally
you
as
need
good.
would you need a curb cut onto Morse off of Crescent?
Yes,
Okay, well, that, you would have to deal with whoever, it's a private road.
right,
So, and you have a paper street, which creates an intersection.
yes,
So, I mean, you may have some issues with the private entity that I guess manages Crescent Avenue,
right,
but it wouldn't be the town of Pembroke.
perfect. And I don't know if it's possible, and I don't want to ask for something that's not, that's asking you to overreach, but
Right.
if you were to say, I can file something more formal with you, and for you to respond saying, we take no action on this because we have no authority over it.
Well, the property in question's outside of our jurisdiction,
Right.
so,
So
no.
I'll state that, and if I overstate, I'll send you a copy. You guys could say, no, we never agreed to that. I'll just say that I appeared before the board, and the board, because all the land is in Halifax, the town of Pembroke felt that they didn't have any authority. The one thing I would note, though, is that I think there's about 20 feet, if you look at that red one, with the fancier one. At the very end, our property stops, and so this is Pembroke. And this is, I can't remember her name, but there's a Danish woman that lives here, and then merchants are on
Well, in
this
any
side.
event, this isn't subject to subdivision rules and regulations that are under the planning board. If it was on the Pembroke side, this would be the creation of a Form A lot. And,
And with it being a paper road, they can't necessarily stop it, because it's
Right,
not their
exactly.
land, and it's not their land.
Right.
It's the town of Pembroke's
Exactly.
land.
Right.
Except the curb cut would be under, because present, we deemed as a private way.
yes,
Yes.
so you're good to go as far as
Thank you
Pembroke's
very much.
concerned. Do what you
And
need
it'll
to
be
do.
reflected in the minutes of tonight, so.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
just get a copy of that.
Great. I'm gonna Steal back those big pieces.
sure.
And I think you have things in your.
And thanks for coming to talk to us. We
Well,
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. I appreciate it.
All right. What have we got next? Just the minutes. So who would like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the January 12th, 2026 meeting as presented.
All right, do I have a second? Second. Okay, great. So we do need a roll call. Heather?
Aye.
Alicia?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Stefan? They're pretty comprehensive.
I'm an aye. Yeah, I just wanted to read them. These are the first ones that
And-
she wrote.
and Scott?
I gotta read them all.
Great. Thank you. All right, is there any other business before the board? Is there any objection to adjourning the meeting? All right, hearing none, I now call the meeting adjourned.